Kathakar. I am before you to discuss your paper 6A, Risk Management. CA Final Paper 6A, Risk Management. Yes. Now, my dear students, elective subjects have been introduced in the new syllabus. After these 6 elective subjects, my analysis says that risk management is a subject which can help you get your dream marks. A subject which can help you get 80 plus easily in your Group 2. Now tell me one thing. What is the difference between this paper and the other papers? This is an open book examination. What is an open book examination? It is an examination where you are allowed to carry the material along with you in your examination hall and refer the material regarding every question which is asked in the question paper. So in a gist, get your material, see what is asked in your question paper, refer the concept, the question paper in your book, and thereby produce answers in your answer book. Now, one most important thing in this paper is you cannot exchange material with the other students in the same examination hall. You have to refer only to the material that you are carrying to the examination hall. Now, risk management and open book examination. Now tell me one thing. Let's take a small example. Say risk grading. A question about risk grading has been asked in your paper, in your examination. Now, you have to first recollect as to risk grading has been mentioned in which chapter. Then, you have to recollect this risk grading mentioned in chapter number 9 is on which page number of chapter 9. Now tell me, is it practically possible to remember the page numbers of every concept? Is it practically possible to remember word to word what is mentioned in the chapters, the 9 chapters? No. So this job has been made easier. RM will help you score 80 plus provided you follow the lead. Yes. Now how is this made easier? Now, the entire syllabus of your 9 chapters of your risk management subject has been reduced down to 9 charts. Yes, you hear me right. 9 charts only. 1 chart for 1 chapter. So you just have to refer the charts and then answer the questions in your question paper. Tell me one thing. We were speaking of risk grading concept. Risk grading. Chapter number 9. Right? Now you know that risk grading comes to chapter number 9. Now the next question that pops up in the mind of every student is, ma'am, you will provide the chart. True. But how will we memorize the chart? Memorizing of the chart is an integral part of the learning sessions of risk management. 90% of the charts will be in your mind, memorized by your mind in the classes itself, in the sessions itself. So you do not have to worry. Okay? So now you know that risk grading belongs to chapter number 9. You directly have to go to the chart of chapter number 9. Once you go to the chart of the chapter number 9. Now, while perusing 212 pages of ICI material is not practically possible, you go to only one chart of chapter number 9. See, understand that ICI material is the Bible, is the Bhagavad Gita, is the base of every learning, of every subject that you would do. You would learn the chartered accountancy. But understand, it is the era of smart study. Considering the base of the ICI material, I have drawn these charts to you which are the blueprint, a layout of the entire chapter, of the entire syllabus. Okay, so these 9 charts will make your job easier. Now risk grading. So we go to chapter number 9, chart. Now we know where risk grading is located. We go to the risk grading concept. See, understand. Understand what is important. Now here in the chart, in the brief, it is mentioned as to what are the brief points with regards to the risk grading. The brief introduction, the brief analysis, the brief history, brief information about risk grading has been mentioned in the chart itself. So if any MCQ pops up on risk grading, you have to just refer to the brief information mentioned here and answer the questions. And in case if it is a subjective question and you need a detailed explanation, a reference to the material page number, to the page number of the ICI material has been mentioned. So you have to directly go to the page number of this particular chapter and answer the questions asked in the examination. So isn't this easier? Isn't this simple? Instead of remembering every concept and mugging it up, you just have to understand the entire 9 chapters have been divided into several parts logically, and every part has covered all the subparts which are covered in the entire chapter. So, logically, we are going to remember even the sequence of the entire chapter and also the constituents, the contents of the chapter in a smart and an easier way. Now, this was with regards to the charts and memorizing, understanding. See, understand, it is an open book examination. So you are going to be allowed to carry the material. So the stress on this subject should be on an easier note so that you can carry the burden of the other subjects along easily and then play well in your examinations. So this subject has to be played very smartly. Why? Because our focus is earning 80 plus marks in this paper, which will guarantee our aggregate, which will guarantee our confidence, and which will guarantee our success as a CA final student. Now next. See, understand, the most important when we speak of an open book examination is the time management. You should be able to back the best of the marks in the least of your time. When a chart is available to you, when you know where the risk grading has been mentioned, you just have to go there. Not only this, a mention to the ICI page number has also been given in the chart. So directly go to the ICI material, go to the page number, pick up the best and take up your best marks. So it's all about time management. Understand, you can carry tens of books along, but you cannot refer so many books for every question. So you should know where to refer what and when. Next, when we speak about this subject, is about the time allocation. The entire time allowed to you by the institute has been divided into 2 parts. Reading time and the main core 4 hours. Now reading time. See, understand, in this question paper, 5 case studies will be asked to you of 25 marks each. Out of these 5 case studies, you have to answer 4 case studies of 25 marks each. So in this reading time, this selection of the 4 final case studies have to be done. This has to be done very carefully. Do you think reading 5 case studies in so much of time is possible? No. So how are we going to make the selection of the final 4 case studies? Every case study has questions asked regarding the case study followed by the case study. Matlab, after the case study, several questions are asked. What do we have to do? We have to read these questions of all the 5 case studies first. Listen to me very carefully. We do not have to read the case study first. We will first go through the questions asked for every case study. After perusing the questions asked for the case study, now the questions asked are divided into 2 parts. There are 2 types of questions. One, generic questions, means what do you mean by risk? What are the various types of risk? What are the sources of the risk? What are the risk management techniques? Such generic questions may be asked, or specific questions related to case study might be asked. We will pick the case studies. Listen to me very carefully again. We will pick the case studies regarding which the questions are more generic of a nature. Why? Because it's an open book examination. We can go to the material, check it out, ask the question, read the material, pick up the material, right? And then jot it down in your answer books. So more generic questions are easier to answer. So we will pick up such 4 case studies in which generic questions asked are more of a nature. Then we are left with the core 4 hours of our IM paper. These 4 hours we shall divide into 2 parts. 1 slot regarding MCQs and the other 3 hours for the subjective questions. Now, MCQs are also a part of these case studies only. Now, MCQs are very, very, very important from this paper point of view. Why? Because these MCQs are going to ensure your passing marks. See, if you have any doubt on the MCQ, we have the chart. From the chart, you have the page number of the material. You have to just go to the page material, check page number of the material, check the point, and then select the right answer. Okay, so MCQs. MCQs are a very important part for our scoring. So first and foremost, we shall solve all the MCQs of the selected 4 case studies. Then we are left with 3 hours. 3 hours and 4 case studies to solve. That means we are left with 45 minutes for each case study. Now, case studies. Case studies are to be read very carefully. Case studies are to be read very carefully, and you have to write answers more than the notes. Understand that all over every CA final student has the ICAI material provided by the institute. So you have to stand out. You have to stand out different amongst the others. If you have to stand out different from the others, you have to study differently. Case studies become an easy way, become a cakewalk only when you become friendlier and used to these techniques of case studies. Right? Now, how do we do this? Every session of our class will be ended with a discussion of one case study. That means every day we shall be discussing one practical case studies that have arisen in the world economy. This will make you well versed with a minimum of 20 case studies by the end of the RN sessions. 20 case studies. This is a big deal. This will help you stand out amongst the rest. These case studies you can quote even while answering the other questions. This will make your paper stand out apart from the rest. This will give the examiner a feel that yes, you have an insight, you are different from the others, you are the diamond from the other gold. So for that extra X factor, we will be discussing one case study every day that gives you a minimum of 20 case studies while you go back home after the end of the sessions. So isn't this exciting? Isn't this good? 9 charts and 20 case studies. And this will definitely ensure 80 plus marks in your RM paper. Now, further, RM. Let us first understand what is the syllabus, what is the coverage of this subject. This subject consists of 9 chapters. These 9 chapters are subdivided into 3 parts: generic, risk management, specific. Generics is chapter number 1, introduction to risk. Chapter number 2, sources of risk. Then in RM, risk management has been discussed in chapter number 3. Risk management techniques, that is strategies, have been discussed in chapter 4. Risk management model in chapter number 5. Chapter 6, 7, 8 and 9. These 4 chapters deal with specific risks. Chapter 6 deals with credit risk. Chapter 7, governance risk. Chapter 8, enterprise risk. And chapter 9, operational risk. So this is the whole coverage of the risk management syllabus. Then we are continuously speaking regarding risk management. First, let us understand what is meant by risk. Whenever we speak about risk, we only think about a negative outcome of the risk. But trust me, my dear students, risk is not always negative. Risk is the base of the development of the economy. Unless and until every organization is ready to take risk, there is no development. There is no development, thereby there is no economic development. So risk is the very base, is that major ingredient of the recipe of the economic development, which adds flavor, which gives colors to the economic development of the country. So risk does not always have negative outcomes. Risk also has positive outcomes. Now what do you mean by risk? Risk means vulnerability plus threat. Vulnerability plus threat. When your vulnerabilities are exposed to threats, risky situations occur. Risk occurs. Now what is meant by vulnerability? Vulnerability means internal weaknesses. Every organization, every institution, every individual has his, her or its own vulnerabilities. own vulnerabilities, the internal weaknesses. And these internal weaknesses are then attacked by external events, by threats in the surrounding economy, in the surrounding environment. अपनी कमियों का फायदा जब कोई और ले सकता है तभी रिस्क आती है. Only then risk arises. When your vulnerabilities are exposed to threats, only then risk occurs. So for risk to occur, there should be vulnerability as well as there should be threat. Both should occur. For example, you are a CA final student. It's the day of the risk management paper. You have studied the entire syllabus except chapter 9. Okay, out of the 9 chapters, you have not studied chapter 9. Rest, all the chapters you have done thoroughly. Then, not studying chapter 9 is your vulnerability, the internal weakness, right? Taking that internal weakness on your head, on your shoulders with a heavy heart, you enter the examination hall. And then, your question paper appears before you, and unfortunately, a question related to question chapter number 9 has appeared in the question paper. That is a threat. So when you're not studying chapter 9, is exposed to chapter 9 question being asked, gives a risky situation that you may not be able to answer the question. Right? So here there is vulnerability as well as threat. Say situation 2 is a risk management day examination and you have absolutely thoroughly studied all the 9 chapters and you are sure come what may, any situation you will be able to answer any question. Then what? Is there any vulnerability? No. Right? Threat is always going to be there. CA exams. Exams are scary. CA exams are super scary. Right? So with that heavy heart, with that threat on your mind, you go to the examination hall. But because you have thoroughly prepared all the chapters, will you be able to successfully answer the questions? Yes. So is there a risk? No. Have you covered the risk? Yes. So, there is no vulnerability but threat. Does risk occur? No. Situation 3. You have not studied for the RM subject at all. You didn't like the subject itself. You didn't study for the subject. It's the exam day. Okay, it's the exam day. You know that you have not studied. You know that it is very difficult to clear the exam, and you walk in towards the examination hall, and somehow you realize that yes, I have not studied. Mera kuch nahi ho sakta, and you leave the examination and walk off. Now understand. Do vulnerabilities exist? Yes. Why? Because you have not studied. What if questions are asked on different chapters? Right? So vulnerabilities exist, but does threat exist? No. You have not attended the examination, so there is no question of examination, question paper, or answering the questions, or not being able to answer the questions because you have not attended the examination at all. So, though there are vulnerabilities, there is no threat. So, there is a risk of not clearing CA final occur? No, there is no risk. So, in order to risk being arisen, there should be vulnerabilities which are exposed to threats. Threats taking the advantages of the vulnerabilities present in the organization give rise to the situation of risk. So this is all that we are going to study in this subject. This is one of the most practical oriented and very, very, very interesting subject. Trust me, here we will have references to all the different scandals that have given birth to the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, and what is the reason that corporate governance has come into picture, what is the reason that Companies Act 2013 has mandated so many disclosure requirements for the boards, what are the accounting frauds that has haunted the entire economy, why, what are the scandals, what are the stock exchange scandals out of which people are not yet able to recover. All these practical oriented things, all these practical case studies we will discuss in this subject. I will make sure that these case studies always add a line of interest, a pinch of interest in understanding this risk management theory subject. I understand that this subject is theory, but know this. Be it theory, be it practical. What we want is clearing CA finals. And for clearing CA finals, you need marks. You need smart study. And this can be guaranteed by this subject and under our lead. Thank you so much. And if you like, kindly subscribe my YouTube channel, CA Piyusha Thakkar. Thank you very much.